This is Gabriela on the scene today with Talk Network Radio. We have a real treat for you just around the corner, and that is Empowered Living with Jeff Byrd. Jeff is the owner of Jeffrey Byrd Coaching, and he will be coming to you weekly to teach you more about empowered living. Now, let's join Jeff, already in the studio.
Hello and welcome. I'm Jeff Byrd with Jeffrey Byrd Coaching, and this is Empowered Living. Now, the title of our program today is You Are Rapidly Becoming What You Are Going to Be. You are rapidly becoming what you are going to be. The decisions you are making today, the thought processes you allow today are very rapidly determining who you're going to be tomorrow and in older age. Now, I started thinking about this recently because I had opportunity to be around some folks who are older, who I've known for quite a while. And it occurred to me, I was looking at some of the qualities in their lives, and I realized, they didn't just wake up one day and have these qualities that were otherwise foreign to their lives in the past. It occurred to me they have been working all their lives to get to be the way they are. They've been picturing themselves in certain ways. They've been thinking certain ways about themselves and about their lives. And those thoughts have now turned into reality for everybody to see. Aged people are a manifestation of what they have envisioned of themselves and for themselves during their entire lives. Their thinking and their actions have become manifest in their lives, and the results are obvious to everybody. Now, let me give you a really positive example of this. Really positive example. As you may know, I'm on the John Maxwell team, and so obviously one of my mentors is John Maxwell. And John Maxwell, he's now 72 years old, and he has global reach. He has global reach. He gets called by presidents of companies, or countries, and presidents of companies and leaders around the world to come and to help them and to help their governments. His team that I'm on now, we have 26 standing presidential invitations to come and conduct leadership transformation in those countries. We've already been to Guatemala, to Costa Rica, to Paraguay twice. And the Pope has invited us over, and we're looking into now which next country we're going to take on to conduct leadership transformation. And John and his teams have taught leadership to over 6 million people represented in every country on earth. And all of those 6 million are committed to training other and developing other leaders. So John has this huge influence at 72 years old. But here's the thing, John Maxwell has envisioned and worked his entire life to become who he is with the influence he has today. One person put it kind of in a cute way. They said, John has been Johnning for 50 years. So he didn't just wake up one morning and had global influence. He's been developing himself. He saw himself as a person who wanted to develop people, who wanted to add value to people, who wanted to build up people. And that's what he started out doing right out of college in the first church that he used to pastor. First meeting he had only had 3 people, and 2 of them were he and his wife. The little lady across the street got curious about what was going on and crossed over the street to come see. There were 3 of them at his first church service. He said they could have met in a phone booth. But now, because he didn't let that discourage him, he kept becoming, kept forming the right images, kept putting in the right thinking, kept developing himself and developing his resources for other people. Now he's become John C. Maxwell, known all around the world as, and been voted the #1 leadership expert in the world by various sources, a number of various sources for years and years running. So John has been Johnning for 50 years. So what it is that we do on a daily basis is rapidly leading to who we're going to be, what we think on a daily basis. Now, there are others whose mentality and practice might be shocking to us. Near the end of their life, I work with healthcare, and I'm often in living facilities and communities, and sometimes it's shocking to see the behavior and the mindset of some people. But you know what? What we see in them now, they've been seeing those characteristics, most of them, in themselves during the entirety of their lives. Time simply brought it to be visible to all. Those seeds that they were sowing of their beliefs about themselves, about their gifts, about their place in the world, about God, about other people, those seeds that they've been planting have now sprung up into their harvest. And sometimes we look at that harvest and we go, oh my, how did they get to be this way? I used to work in hospice, and I knew so many people and heard so many stories about when they got to the end of life and they just look back with regret. And I just pray that you and I don't get to the end of our lives and look back with regret on what we didn't do, on what we didn't say, on what we didn't believe, on what we didn't develop. We want to look back on the ones we did, because here's something that's true. People who believe they can't end up being unable. People who believe they can end up being able. People who believe they aren't enough end up being not enough. But the people who believe that they are enough develop themselves into being a blessing and useful to other people. People who believe they can't do it for themselves, they end up being a burden on others. But the people who believe they can do it, and they'll do whatever they can do, they do it for themselves and others, even into old age. So you might have heard this quote, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Now, I want to give you another really great story about somebody who's made it to a significant old age and is still adding tons of value. And this man is John Maxwell's dad. His name is Melvin Maxwell. And now Melvin, they live down in Florida, and a few years ago, family kind of got together and they realized, hey, it would be better for Dad not to have to deal with all the upkeep and take care of the house. Maybe some of you have had to deal with that with your parents, but they decided it would be good if Dad were in a really nice living community there with lots of amenities and so many things that are just done for you that you don't have to keep up with all the maintenance that homeowners do, as many of us painfully are aware. So what they did is they started looking around. They found out that there was a new assisted living facility being built. And so they went and they checked it out and talked with the people, and it sounded like it was going to be a really great place. So they went ahead and got him signed up to move in there. And as they were getting near completion, he was like, well, I've got to get over there and got to be ready. And they said, well, what do you need to be ready for? You know, it's not even finished yet. You know, what's the rush? And he said, well, he said, I need to be there for when people start coming in. He said, there's going to be old people coming in, people who had to downsize, people who've had to move from homes that they've lived in for years. And they're going to be nervous. They're going to be kind of, wondering, hey, is this place going to be okay? Are they going to treat us nice? Is the food going to be good? He said, I need to be there to assure them, hey, this is a great place and we're going to have a great time. And my name's Melvin Maxwell and I'm your friend. And, I need to be there to greet them. And so sure enough, that's what he did. He was there at the front door and, greeted so many people and reached out to them and became friends. And he had been a pastor for many years. And so he started a Bible study. And that Bible study got filled up. Too many people. They didn't have room for them. They had to start a second one, and then a third one, and then a fourth one. And they ended up with 5 Bible studies that he was running on a weekly basis in his assisted living community. And then what happened is word got out into some other communities, and then they started bringing him over to their communities to run studies in their communities. He's 94 years old. Right? I know so many people far younger than him that are checked out. They believe, oh, I'm so old. I can't do anything. I can't learn anything. I can't make a difference. But those people have been believing those kind of messages all their lives. The ones who believe they can make a difference and develop themselves, they get into their later years and they're still bearing fruit. They're still got good stuff that can help other people. They're still helping other people.
Jeff will be back shortly to wrap up today's message. This is Gabriela, still on the scene today with Talk Network Radio. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Empowered Living with Jeff Byrd. If you've missed any part of today's message, you can hear it again online, as well as the entire archive of Empowered Living at www.talknetworkradio.com or search keyword #Empowered Living. We would like to acknowledge our music partners, Sound Ideas for Corporate to the Max, and Kevin MacLeod for Airport Lounge. Any scriptures read during this broadcast are from the New American Standard Version of the Holy Bible. If you would like to learn more about Jeffrey Byrd Coaching, visit www.jeffbyrdcoaching.com. That is JEFFBYRD coaching.com. Do a Facebook search for @CoachingRocks or drop Jeff a line at jeff@jeffbyrdcoaching.com. Again, JEFFBYRD coaching.com. Let Jeff's Coaching Rocks be the building blocks of your empowered success. Now, let's go back to Jeff for the rest of today's message.
So, here's what I'd like to get. I'd like to give you a few points that will help you, and I put them into practice as best as I know how as well. There's a few things that'll really help us do what needs to be done today so that we get the harvest we want when we get to old age. Okay? Number one is, what's your purpose? There's the purpose question. What are you here to do? What difference are you here to make? That's the purpose question. What is your purpose in this world? And in order to find the purpose, some of that, we have to find out what our identity is. That's number two, identity. Who are you really at your heart level? Not based on society and its messages or what other people think of you. Who are you really? What do you really have to develop and give? What are you passionate about? What difference do you really want to make? You may have heard the question, if failure weren't an option, what would you do? What would you do? That's who you really are. That gets to who you really are and why you want to do it. It's going to be something that's meaningful to you. Everybody has something meaningful to them that can be developed for their benefit and for the good of others. The third one, I call this calling. What's your calling? And what I mean by that is, what are you being called to do? What are you being extruded into doing? And this may be by a number of means. It may be just by an idea that you never can really get away from. No matter where you are or what you do, this idea calls to you. It keeps coming back in your mind and in your thinking and be like, maybe I should pursue that. Maybe I should take a class. Maybe I should do that. So what's the calling? And then the second is, the second part of that is, what is it that others notice and want you to do more of? What is it that others notice and want you to do more of? They see these gifts in you. They see that you're good at it. And when they have a need in this area, they come to you for it. And they affirm you. They say, well, you're really good at that. When you do X or Y or Z, it makes a difference on other people. You're really good at that. You need to develop that. So it's your calling. Now, the fourth one is, what does the fulfillment of your vision look like? What does the fulfillment of your vision look like? What does it look like when you are doing what you're here to do? Picture what that area of greatest passion and interest is. If you ran that to its fullest potential, what does that look like? See yourself with that. Lock onto that vision. Lock onto it, and then align every decision in your present reality that you can make to into that vision, into that greater vision. Line up with it. Keep that's like your true north. That vision is your true north. Now, if you need to go in this direction, but you're aimed over here, then you need to change that aim. Now, you can't change like Jim Rohn said, you can't change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight. So we want to constantly keep tweaking all the decisions that we make and what we do on a daily basis so that it aligns most closely with our vision of greatest fulfillment. Vision of greatest fulfillment. Okay, so Chuck, can you scroll down, please? Now, here's another thing you want to keep in mind is keep in mind those who are being helped by what you do. Those who are being helped. This is going to encourage you. There's going to come difficult times in all of our journeys. For some, it's going to be more difficult than others. For some, it's going to take longer. Like has been said, some winters are short, some winters are long, some winters are hard, some winters are relatively easy, but winters